Hey guys, good to see you back on the channel. So we have a bunch of new stuff about Battlefield 6, and honestly, they're pretty interesting. David Sirland actually got a tweet out there asking people if there's something bothering them about Battlefield 6, and we are actually having a lot of answers from him, who is the lead producer on Battlefield 6. About platoons, he talks about, being able to squad up with more than 4 people. We're talking about recoil issues, we're talking about spread, aka bloom issues, map design, matchmaking issues that we already have in the game, netcode improvements, map reworks, and all those kind of stuff is actually getting an answer. And he even talks about more than that. We also have a community update about the challenges, which are actually made easy to the point where I think some of them don't even want any effort anymore. And we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about some of the changes that was done to the challenges as well. However, if you don't know the channel yet, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel, because if you are a Battlefield player, this is for you. I'm going to give you guides here as well as news, tips and tricks, everything you basically need when it comes to getting better at playing Battlefield games. And right now I'm trying to rank every single weapon category in Battlefield 6 based on their TTK. Already done that for assault rifles. The link to that video is down in the description. You can go ahead and check that out. And the video for SMGs and carbines as well as LMGs and DMRs will come out as soon as possible, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado guys, let's go ahead and start the video. So what I want to do is I want to start with what David actually had to say about some of the main issues about Battlefield 6. So one user asked, not being able to queue up with more than 4 people. I'd really like to play with more friends, but it always ends up with people having to join, queue, back out and repeat. Very frustrating for the person not in the main party, to the point they'd rather not to play. David Sirland says, yes, this for sure is a thing of priority to us as well. So he actually says that creating platoons for Battlefield 6 is actually one of their main priorities right now. That's very interesting to have platoons in Battlefield games. We know that from Battlefield 3 and 4, and it was really awesome. That coming to Battlefield 6 can't be anything bad, so I'm actually really excited to see that as well. Someone else asked about the Battlefield coins from BF 2042 not carrying over to Battlefield 6, which is a massive oversize. I and many others now have coins stuck in 2042. David responds like this: I don't think that's a common practice of Battlefield to move coins and such over between games. Was that promised in any shape or form? Not my area of expertise, but I wouldn't expect that across games. And in my opinion, he's right. I mean, we've never had that in a Battlefield game, and other games like COD, they just don't do that. You can't, have your in-game currency from one game to another. That's just not how things work in video games. Let's be honest. Moving on, someone else actually talks about map design. Maps design in first place for sure. The core is there and it's amazing. Some bug fixes and less obnoxious skins, but that's good overall. But the biggest problem is map design and availability of larger maps for sure, and a better overall portal experience. David, however, responds like this: maps and weapons is of course the biggest area we'll just keep adding to over time, so this will move in that direction for sure. We are also looking at fixing issues on the existing maps and changing things up when necessary to make it better too, of course. So he confirms that maps might actually undergo some changes. In my opinion, the new map Blackwell Fields actually needs some cover in between some of the sites, because it feels like, going through an empty space with tanks, snipers, DMRs, LMGs on the mountains just firing at you non-stop, and you just have nowhere else to go. You're just running in a field without any cover. That actually needs a fix, especially in Conquest, which is the main mode I play. That issue is really something you can touch and something you can actually experience every single match. Someone else says, no platoon system. So many friends have the game, but you can only play with 4 of them at a time. Again, David responds, yep, we like platoons and more social play. Expect updates in these areas. So platoons are actually promised, and I remember before Battlefield 6 got released, having platoons in the game was basically a part of the leaked stuff. Like every single time that we had new leaks, something about platoons was in those information. So that is promised by the lead producer himself, and that is coming to BF6 as soon as possible. Someone else says, maybe bloom feels a little much on some of the guns. I feel like even when I tap fire, I get a lot more variance than I expect, and it doesn't go where I would like it to go. And I know bloom, aka spread, is a huge problem right now in the game. Hit rate, in my opinion, is even worse, and in my opinion has the priority when it comes to issues. However, David responds like this: we are actively looking at these things, of course. Some of these things were over-indexed and may need some layer cleanup. Combining bloom, recoil components, etc. can be a bit much and muddy readability. So yeah, we know that a fix for Bloom is actually coming, and I'm really excited to see how that actually affects the game. And lowering down some of those penalties for jumping and sliding would be also interesting. The lobby population in BR sometimes just doesn't work. I get into lobbies where 60 out of 100 people connected and no new players are added after that. I tried to wait longer, but most players just leave in this case, and the new ones are not appearing, which lead to new search. And that happens in Europe. David responds saying, "I'm sure there are matchmaker issues, by the way, so keep reporting these. If you have video, that would be super helpful for when these weirder things happen." So this is something weird, as David says, and he says that he believes that the matchmaker issue actually exists. That is something I experience every single day, being a player that plays in a less populated region when it comes to a Battlefield game. Honestly, every single time that I try to matchmake, most of the times I just get into some sort of bot lobby. There are like 26 bots and just a few players. That is ridiculous. Every single time, every single day, the same thing happens to me. And the problem is, the region right now for Battlefield 6 has enough players to populate maybe 5 lobbies. However, the matchmaker system actually divides lobbies every single time after every single match. And it divides them, putting them into like 10 different new lobbies where they only have like 5-6 players. And then after a while, the match begins populating the entire lobby with bots. That's the exact issue with the matchmaker, and I'm pretty sure this thing will actually harm Battlefield 6 more than anything if not fixed. So I hope they really fix this as soon as possible. Also, David talks about the TTD as a sibling to TTK and netcode, which is being actively improved and bug fixed against. We're relatively happy with the averages here, but there are outliers for sure. It's not about TTD mostly, but networking, however. You don't realize in time you are getting damaged. So the TTK, hit rec problem, in my opinion, it's way worse than Bloom, because Bloom is something that is different basically from one gun to another. Hit reg is something completely out of control. You can't do anything about it. You can't switch weapons to control hit reg. There's nothing you can do. Once those bullets decide not to register, it's out of control. There's basically nothing you can do. So I really hope they fix that as soon as possible. So that was all that David Sirland had to say about the key issues of Battlefield 6 for now. So patches will be coming and those fixes will be implemented as soon as possible. However, there is a community update about the challenges. Some of these challenges actually changed in a drastic way. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here, taking a look at this community update. So as we continue to build on the improvements we mentioned previously, we are also delivering a major overhaul of challenges and assignments, guided by gameplay data and your feedback. Some of the adjustments in this update are substantial, and we wanted to share more context on how we arrived at them. This update makes significant reductions to challenge requirements, cutting down on time investment while maintaining a focus on skill-driven progression that rewards consistent play. Challenges and assignments are tuned around defined playtime targets, and these changes bring their requirements in line with those goals to make them more achievable within a reasonable session length. Assignments will continue to range from goals you can complete through regular play to a few that reward true mastery, particularly those tied to cosmetic items. Some of the original criteria did not fully reflect that intent, and we have updated them to make their difficulty and purpose cleaner. The first set of changes went live today through a server-side update and are available immediately. Any progress you've already made will automatically be applied when you enter a match, unlocking any challenges or assignments you now meet based on the updated criteria. So these changes were backend changes, no update, no patch, nothing. They're just done and you can go ahead and check them out in game right now. However, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these changes and see how they actually affect the challenge system. For class challenges, Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon challenges now complete much faster. So let's take a look at this. For Assault 2, have squad mates deploy on your spawn beacon. This was reduced from 50 deploys to 5. In my opinion, that is just oversimplification. That is just not necessary, honestly. Having 50 people deploy on your spawn beacon wasn't something really hard, honestly, and 5 is just ridiculous. If they could reduce that from 50 to like 30, that would make sense, but 5 is just, it's too easy in my opinion. For Support 2, for example, which says revive teammates as support, they reduced that from 200 revives to only 60. Again, that is oversimplifying things. In my opinion, 200 revives for a medic is, it's nothing. Let's be honest. Moving on to weapon assignments. All weapon type assignments, ARs, SMGs, LMGs, shotguns, DMRs, snipers, carbines, all of them have been significantly simplified. For example, the rapid fire 1 assault rifle, which says inflict damage with assault rifles, that was reduced from requiring 10,000 inflicted damage to only 3,000. For mode and unit assignments, the majority of our mode specific assignments, like Conquest, Rush, Breakthrough, Domination, and others, have been standardized to require 2 wins per tier. This change makes it easier to pursue these challenges with clear intent. For Conquest 2, for example, which says wins in Conquest, it was reduced from 5 wins to only 2. For Conquest 3, objective kills in a round of Conquest reduced from 30 objective kills in a round to 10 only. For gameplay and mastery, general expert and master assignments that require multi-kills, headshots, kill streaks, or revives have been adjusted to better match the natural rhythm of gameplay. For example, multi-kill and streak goals now align with average round performance rather than rare outlier achievements. For example, the explosive expert 2, which says get multi-kills with explosives, it was reduced from 20 multi-kills to only 5, and adaptable 2, which says repair damaged vehicles and a life, reduced from requiring 3,000 damage to 500. That is, in my opinion, some good change. In a life, repairing a vehicle for 3,000 damage is really hard to do. And that's why a lot of people are actually, populating those bot lobbies, trying to get some of these assignments through killing bots, basically. Assignments like this one are actually the cause of that. So that was all the important challenge changes and also everything that David Sirland had to say about the key issues of Battlefield 6 that are getting fixed in the near future. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope this was helpful, somewhat informative. Make sure to go down in the comment section, let me know what you think about the challenge changes, and also, are you actually having a problem with bloom, spread, or hit reg right now in the game? And if so, is it actually breaking your game to the point where you actually prefer to play less or don't even play until they fix that, or you just don't care? Personally, I don't care to the point where I stop playing, but I definitely feel that it has some sort of effect in many of my gunfights, honestly. So thank you all guys for watching, and until next time, guys, stay cool.